What's going on, family? How are you all doing? It's Judrano, and I'm live again. I was just on the phone with O'Shea a few minutes ago. O'Shea and I will be doing a show very soon. He's out in town, but when he's back, he's gonna, send me a message, and we're gonna do a show. Now, I've got a very interesting topic to discuss today. It's called "Should African Americans Go Back to Africa?" This question is a no-brainer. Okay, day in day out, white people in America tell you to go back home, go back to Africa, go back to Africa. Okay. I don't know when you're gonna go. When are you gonna listen to them? I know I'm just stirring you up, Minister Jap. Now, a few days ago, Minister Jap released a video on his channel called his channel's name is the Pulpit. The Pulpit Podcast. There was so much rhetoric on his channel. The impetus of your assertions are not only rhetorical, they sure sound like a cross between Sarah Palin and Donald Trump. And no one can take you seriously. Minister Jap. You mean you live in America and you've never heard of any African American going back to Africa? It's a shame. I like to respect my elders, but I will point out the obvious. If you do not make sense, I'll point it out. Because we, the young generation, do not stand for the BS that's going on. We all just want to get along and live our lives. Okay. We don't care about your propaganda or whichever agenda you're trying to push with your rhetorics. Speaking with no facts. Just baseless points. Now, Minister Jap made a 46-minute video showing how ignorant he is when it comes to Africa. It's a shame that somebody like that has followers. It's a shame that somebody like that is seen in the community as someone that people should listen to, or a leader figure where people follow and take advice and listen to the kind of things that he says. But it's sad that knowing from at my end that people who follow Minister Jap are being misled. And for the video that he made, the ignorant video that he made, spewing a lot of misconceptions, miseducation, if he was educated at all. He sure didn't sound like he was educated. And it's really, really sad that in 2018, we have people like these still in America. Though he said certain things that were factual. But then again, it's miseducation. All right. So Minister Jap, get your facts right. Get your sources right before you make your next video about Africa. All right. Now, I wrote down a lot of points which I'm going to talk about when I get on the show with O'Shea, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I mean, I am so hyped about this, and this is what my channel is about. You know, dispelling the misconceptions about Africa and Africans. You know, when it comes to Africa and America, okay, I don't see myself distant at all from both, because my father is African American and my mother's from Ghana. Okay, so I am basically a living entity of both sides. All right, so I'm passionate about both, you know, both sides. I am passionate about America, and I'm very passionate about Africa. Overall, I think I'm more passionate about Africa because that's where the motherland is. That's the motherland. You know, Africa is the mother of all civilizations. If you want to take it to that, we can discuss that. So Minister Jap spewed a lot of rhetoric. So you mean that you've never heard of the conscious community? I live in Australia, okay, and I know of the conscious communities in America. Saneta, you've never heard of Saneta? You've never heard of Brother Polite? Welcome to the channel, Chidrano. Chidrano is live. We've got someone online. Please let yourself known. Say hi. You know, I am here, you know, to address Minister Jap. Okay, a couple of days ago he released a video on his channel, and yeah, it's really sad that there is a lot of miseducation when it comes to Africa. What people think about Africa, especially African Americans. African Americans are not all, but a small group of people are so adamant. They refuse to change. They refuse to step out of their zone. I wouldn't even call it a comfort zone, because I don't think they're comfortable where they are. You can't be comfortable. If you're a black person in America, you can't be comfortable. But to me, especially me, I think you're comfortable, because you're not trying to make a change. You know, at least change environment. If you cannot do anything to change your situations in America, change your environment. All you need is your passport. Your American passport is a trump card around the world, especially here in Australia. Okay, you can move to Australia and have a good life. Okay, like me. And I bet you when you move to Australia, you won't miss America one bit. You won't. You know. So Minister Jap said a lot of you know, uneducated rhetoric. You know, he sounded like, I said this before, he sounded like a cross between Sarah Palin and Donald Trump. For the fact that the conscious community has been around for so long, they've been so loud. And Minister Jap has never heard of Biggie Smalls, big Professor Smalls. He's never heard of Brother Jabari. He's never heard of Saneta. Even Polite, Brother Polite, who recently went to Ghana. He documented the slave dungeons. Okay, and you never saw these videos. And you talk about African Americans who go to Africa, they only go to the cities. They never go to the slums. They can never go to the slums. They'll get killed. They'll die. They'll never make it. Maybe you should talk to Polite about that. Okay, because what I see is you're trying to push an agenda. Okay, your video was only for attention. You were only seeking attention. Yeah, yeah. He is projecting his feelings. That's right, brother. Brother Doug. Exactly. It's a propaganda. He's only seeking attention. Yeah, exactly. So so I can't wait to get on the show with O'Shea. And we will talk. We will talk. I mean, he's never heard of Dynast. He's never heard of Brother Mahdi. How about Grana Menra in Mombasa, having a good time? You know, having a good time, establish a business. He's always calling. Always calling a family to come to Africa, move to Kenya. You know, Brother Mahdi in Dakar, calling out, move to Africa. You know, everyone in Africa love it. There's so much that they want so much of African Americans to move over. And you were here pushing this agenda, this propaganda. It's so sad. It's really sad. And yeah, we will talk about it. We will talk about it. Right, I left down his link to his page on Jap comment section. Yeah, I don't even think Dice would want to deal with him because this level of rhetoric is I think is beyond Dynast, and yeah, I think the young ones like us will handle that, I suppose, but I think Dynast shouldn't waste his time on Minister Jap because it's ridiculous, yeah. So I'm just gonna use it as my my practice, something to practice on, addressing this kind of rhetoric. And this is what my channel is about, dispelling these misconceptions. And I'm glad this came up, but I also know that it is an agenda, just to get attention. So yeah, I'm just waiting for O'Shea to come back online, and we shall start a show together. So what's going on, Doug? What's going on? You up early? Are you there? There's one thing I wanna dispel here, right? It's like, there's a lot of Americans donate a lot of money to Africa. What do you have to prove for the money? Oh, you're preparing for work. Okay, right. If you right, I get you. Thanks for staying with me. But I'm not going to be here for long because I'm going to be with O'Shea very soon. But yeah, I just want to address this quickly. When you donate money to somebody, okay, in terms of aid being sent to Africa, right? You are not doing Africans any good. Africa does not need your aid. Okay, what Africa needs is industries. Okay, Africa needs jobs. So if you're thinking you're donating money to Africa and you expect Africans to grow with the money you're donating, you are basically throwing your money away. It is very important that you understand economics, okay, and the chain in command when it comes to African leaders. Okay, people squander money. When you donate $100, only $10 make it to Africa, okay, which is nothing. So instead of donating money, go build a business in Africa, employ people, establish a business, black owned, for us, by us. That's when you make a difference, because your business is going to last a long time. It's going to generate revenue. Okay, it's going to generate income for people. It's going to employ people and improve people's lives. Not just a one-off $10 donation. So these are the miseducation plaguing the black community in America, you know, and they think that if you give somebody money, especially a poor person, you give a poor person money, they should improve. It should improve their lives instantly. It doesn't work that way. It never does. Else there wouldn't be homeless people sitting on the streets. Okay, from last time I checked, there were over 30 million people, homeless people on the streets of America. 30 million people. Now Australia's population is 25 million. Okay, so meaning that there are more homeless people in America than there are people in Australia. You know, and all these homeless people get donations. Okay, and how many of these homeless people get off the streets? They don't get off the streets because they expect you to give them money. They know that when they go sit on the street, you give them money. But how about you introduce them to work? How about you give them jobs to do? Okay, they know that if I go to do this job, I'm gonna get paid. I can afford to have a home. You know, they're not gonna go back on the streets unless they're lazy. You know, so these are some of the miseducation. You know, 30 million homeless. Did I hear right? Yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I read. You know, somewhere, you know, 30 million homeless people in America. So, let's Google this. I'll confirm this. So, last time I checked, there were about 30 million homeless people in America. So, and you should know that your money in America goes a long way. You know, your money in America goes a long way. You can go to Africa and establish a business with the very little you have in America. You know, with their level of education, you know, you're bound to succeed. There's no excuse for you to stay in America and blame the white man. There's no excuse. When the Chinese people pouring into Africa day by day, every day. Welcome to the show, Watermeyer. Thanks for joining the show, brother. I spoke to O'Shea and he's happy to do a one-on-one with me, so I'm just rambling on, keeping myself entertained, and wherever it's online. And yeah, we're going to talk about this. You know, Minister Jap sounds like he's so spooked out. He sounds like a little kid. You know, spooked out. Spooked out by some noise in the closet. Okay, this is Minister Jap. You know, he's talking about Africans fighting. Like, are you serious? He knows very well that there are over 53 countries in Africa. But when you make a general statement like Africans are always fighting each other, well, how about we deflect? African Americans are always fighting each other. How about that? You can't say that. It's just rhetoric. You know, it's just rhetoric. There's thousands of people, thousands of African Americans who've moved to Ghana, who've made Ghana their home, and there are thousands and thousands of African Americans going to Ghana each year. You know, millions of African Americans visit Africa each year. No, Doug, I listened to the whole thing because I wanted to respond to it. You know, so I had to listen. It was a bitter pill to swallow. You know, it was very, very hard to listen to, but I had to listen to it. You know, we all need to develop very good listening skills. You know, so we can tackle this sort of rhetoric and misconception. You know, because it's the only way. Dialogue. You know, It's the only way we can deal with this. You know, the battle now is the battle for the mind. You know, whoever controls the mind controls everything. You know, they're not going to put you in chains anymore. They're not going to put you in chains. They only need to control your mind, and they can tell you to jump off a cliff. You will jump off a cliff. You will jump off a cliff. They're not going to kill you anymore. You know. So yeah, it's all mind control, and Minister Jap, like you pointed it out. Minister Jap was only seeking attention. He wants this attention to come his way. So we're gonna address it. And I know he's really spooked out. A lot of African Americans who are so miseducated, right? Misinformed or ill-informed, feel that Africa owes them something. Africans enslave African Americans, or Africans hate African Americans. I'm a product of African American and African. All right. If there wasn't love, I wouldn't be made. I wouldn't be here. If my dad didn't love my mother, I wouldn't be alive, because my dad is an African American and my mom is African. So this is what it is. The rhetoric is just so ridiculous. It's like listening to Sarah Palin talk. That's how difficult it was to listen to this Minister Jap, spew his rhetoric. So you can see that Africans always need help. Of course, who doesn't need help? Everybody needs help. Everybody needs help. So what are you talking about? So another thing, Africa needs to pay reparation. Like, look, because you're so ill-informed, I wonder what sort of news. I heard Jap's argument from many others, but I'm Exactly. Peace, Henok. Thanks for joining the show. Thank you. Thanks for the subscription. We're growing slowly. We're growing slowly. The young generation are taking over. It's time for the old generation to roll over. Push over. We the new generation. We want none of that. We seriously want none of that. None of the rhetoric. We don't want it anymore. We want to move on. It would be nice for us to all get along. Be progressives. Because if the old people mess up our world, right, we will have no world to be in. So we're not going to allow them to do that. And Doug, the manosphere, okay, O'Shea, it needs to improve. O'Shea needs to invite young, African Americans, into the manosphere. It shouldn't be just these old cats that spew rhetoric. Oh man. So O'Shea is gonna invite me to the manosphere sometime, and I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. So I'll get my scholarship up, and I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna drop bombs on them, You should know that. I respect and admire the information you put out there. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is what we need to do. The young generation, we're just tired. We're tired and we're sick and tired of the rhetoric. These old people need to just go to bed. Seriously. We need to take over. We need to take over. What is this? Where was Africa? Where was Africa when African Americans were suffering? Like, dude, you were so misinformed. You're so ill-informed. the effort to connect between African and African Americans have been laid down since the 1920s. All right, since the 1920s, for African Americans to return to Africa to build. Even in the 1800s, okay, when the first African Americans left Nova Scotia to go settle Sierra Leone, when people left Virginia to go settle Liberia, we all know what happened in Liberia. Okay, we all know what happened, but it wasn't the same everywhere else. What was his name? W.D. Du Bois lived and died in Ghana. He lived to a rightful age and died in Ghana. Okay, my grandfather died in Ghana. That's my father's father died in Ghana. So, I mean, the rhetoric is just so, it's just ridiculous, His impetus for his argument is just pure rhetoric. He's seeking attention, and he will get it, especially from me, he will get it. And I'm going to respond to everything he said. I took down notes, and I'm going to respond to everything he said. So I'm not gonna be on here for too long. I'm still waiting for O'Shea to call me, and it's past midnight. I need to go to bed. So I need to get back to O'Shea, and we can do this. But thanks for joining me, Doug. Have a nice day at work. I hope you catch the show later. What am I? Thanks, brother, for showing up. Brother Hanok, thanks for subscribing. And everybody else who's subscribed to the Chief Drano channel, peace out, brother. Everybody else who's subscribed to the Chief Drano channel, we are growing. We are growing. And I encourage everyone, to stand up for Africa. Africa is the only place where we black people can claim our supremacy. It's the only place where we can shout our black power, with so much pride. It is our homeland. So the earlier we connect with it and rebuild it, the better it is. Before Chinese people take over, because it's been estimated by 2050, okay, the Chinese are going to be half the population of Africa. So it is what it is. It's either you do something about it now or somebody else does. All right, so until we talk again, Minister Jap, please don't be spooked out. Do not be spooked out. Go to Africa, okay? You've got your passport. You say you've got your passport. Go to Africa, okay? Book a flight. Go to Africa. All right. Not until you see it for yourself. Don't speculate. All right, brother. Peace out. 1.